Playing with performance anxiety as an athlete can cause you to hide. So what I'm going to do in this video is go into how exactly this anxiety can cause you to hide, what that looks like, and then at the end I'm going to go over a strategy that you can use to manage this anxiety going into games. Hey there, I'm Eli Strawman, a performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now, I had a parent reach out to me, it was probably about a month ago now, and they said, I need some help with my younger athlete, he's a high schooler, because he seems like he is hiding during games. Now, as I spoke to the mom and as I then spoke to the athlete and we worked together, it became very clear that the reason he was hiding was due to his anxiety. He was worried about what was going to happen. Now, why do you think performance anxiety, so this worry and this extreme nervousness about how am I going to perform and I don't want to make mistakes, why does that lead to hiding during games? The number one reason that performance anxiety is going to cause you to hide during games is because of the behavioral response to performance anxiety, which is avoidance. If you don't want to mess up, the easiest thing to do is to avoid the situation that's going to cause you to mess up. Now, if you're actually in a game, it's very difficult to avoid the situation since you're out there. And this is where we start to see athletes hiding. Now, the example that I was just talking about in terms of the mom that reached out to me about her young athlete, he was a soccer player. So what it looked like for him in terms of hiding was, not being in the play, kind of hanging on the outside a little bit, right? Just not being in the action. But, he wasn't doing this because he was willfully choosing to and was really happy about it. He was doing it because it was a natural reaction to the anxiety, since the anxiety and the worry about how he was going to play, specifically the worry about not wanting to make mistakes, overrided any idea of wanting to go out there and to play his best that day. We can really sum this up as playing it safe. You're laying low, you're playing it safe in hopes not to mess up. But we also know that when you lay low and you play it safe, you keep yourself from playing as well as you want to be playing and as well as you know that you can play. Now, as you hide, this is going to lead to extreme levels of frustration. While you don't want to experience the anxiety and while you don't want to mess up during the game, what's almost even more frustrating is getting to the end of the game and feeling like, you just completely held yourself back and you just continue to question, why am I playing differently out here? I imagine that it's going to be different during games and practices, where in practice you might be playing a little bit more confidently. And this can lead to extreme levels of frustration. So if right now you do find yourself hiding during games because of this anxiety, what can you do? Well, first things first, you need to have a strategy to manage your anxiety in the moment. Whenever I'm working with an athlete and we're talking about performance anxiety or really any mental game challenge, we have to look at it on two different levels. We have the short term where we need to focus on managing this anxiety in the moment, but we also have the long term. And this is where we are going to manage anxiety long term by building specific mental skills that will naturally reduce the anxiety that you play with. But first, we need to have this strategy for in the moment, because what if you have a game, tomorrow or this next week? You need to be able to have a way to reduce the anxiety. So my favorite strategy for managing anxiety in the moment is referred to as the ABCs of anxiety. A stands for accept. You have to accept your anxiety. The reason you have to accept your anxiety is because the more resistance you give to your anxiety, the worse the anxiety is going to get. Have you ever heard the term, what you resist persists? It's because when you resist your anxiety, you're thinking about your anxiety and you're focused on your anxiety. What we have to do to reduce this anxiety is take your attention off of it. The more you think about, oh, I'm so anxious, now all of a sudden, you've become anxious about being anxious. So first, we have to accept the anxiety. This is done by just simply talking to yourself, saying, okay, it's okay that I'm feeling anxious. I can play well even though I'm anxious. It's all right, I accept that. The B stands for breathe. Number one, you want to breathe because it's going to start bringing your attention back into the present moment. And we know that whenever you're experiencing performance anxiety, this is due to outcome-oriented thinking, where you're thinking too much about the future, what's going to happen at the end of the game, what's going to happen at the end of this play. So we need to start bringing your attention back into the present moment. The best way to do that is simply focusing on your breathing, because your breathing is taking place in the present moment. Now, in addition to bringing your attention back into the present moment, there's also the added benefit of reducing the physical symptoms of your anxiety. We know that performance anxiety is accompanied by a lot of those physical symptoms. The things that just scream out to your mind, I am feeling anxious right now. When you turn your attention onto your breathing, you take nice deep breaths, you begin to relax yourself and reduce some of those physical symptoms. The C stands for change your focus. You want to change your focus onto something that's more controllable and part of the process. This goes back to the idea of anxiety is caused by outcome-oriented thinking. Anxiety is caused by thinking too much about the future. We need to bring your attention back into the present moment. A great way to do this is by setting some objectives or focusing on, some kind of process goal that's happening in the moment that you can put your attention onto. With the soccer player example, this was a very simple change that we made, but it had a huge impact on his performance. And what we did was we said, okay, once you've accepted, you've done your breathing, the change your focus is going to be focus on giving effort. That was it. Giving full effort, running, being in the play, going after tackles. If he gave full effort, he was more present, and that effort was more controllable, so we saw the anxiety reduce. And the cool thing was we also saw his performance level increase because the more effort he gave, the better he played. So that's a strategy that you can use in the moment to begin reducing your performance anxiety. Now, more of a long-term strategy is we need to work on, kind of a combination of building trust in yourself and also calming your nerves, just kind of calming that mind naturally. There are two ways that you can do this. One is going to be for calming your nerves. You can use some mindfulness meditation. If you perform this on a daily basis over time, that's going to have a great impact on the ability to calm your nerves in those moments and have a stiller mind with less racing thoughts. The other thing that you can do is begin putting strategies in place to build your trust and build your belief long term. So what I've done right here is I've linked two additional videos, one that goes into detail on how to perform mindfulness meditation, and the other one that goes into detail on some steps that you can take to build confidence in your game. So I encourage you to click on both of those videos, watch them to start managing this anxiety long term. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.